picture restorer and painter, so an artist as well. So I restore other people's pictures and I make my own.
Hi there, I'm Peter Cormack. I was a professional footballer and played for Scotland and Liverpool, Hibs, Bristol City. Anywhere else? I don't know.
My name's Tom Farmer, and I was born in Leith quite a long time ago. And I was brought up just right in the foot of Leith Walk. And if you actually go to the foot of Leith Walk and you look at a lamppost that's there, you'll see that there's a banner with my photograph in it. And it's almost just at the top of the road in which I was actually born, in a place called Eunice. And when I was a young
I am Gordon Munro, the Labour Councillor for the Leith Ward. And I've been a councillor for Leith from 2003 up to date.
Well, my name is Frank Ferry. I was born in Edinburgh but brought up in Leith, Ballantyne Road. I was born in 1935.
Well, my name's Rita Crombie and I'm very proud to say I'm a Leither. I was born in Leith, I worked in Leith and I live in Leith.
I have 6 brothers and sisters, so there were 7 children in my family, and so life was very difficult for us, and we were out working from when we were 8 years old. But even although we were poor and deprived, we never felt that we were, because everybody was poor and deprived in these days, because Leith knew a lot of poverty and deprivation. There was a lot of slums in Leith that had to be demolished, and these were in Admiralty Street and Cromwell Street and Cooper Street, and we were fortunate enough before they cleared the slums that my mum got us a house in Resrick, and we stayed in a 4 in a block there, and we thought we had arrived because it had a drying green and we had a lavatory all to ourselves. I couldn't say that my childhood was unhappy. I have a lovely relationship with my brothers and sisters, probably because we had to stick together and help each other through.
My family, I am a 3rd generation Leither, so my family has got very strong roots in Leith. Both my grannies were from Leith, my granddads were from Leith, my dad was from Leith, my mum was from Leith, and I was born in Leith. So I'm a proud Leither.
Well, my family's actually quite interesting because although I said earlier I was born in Leith and I'm a proud Leither, I'm only partly really a Leither because my mum was born in New Haven, my dad was born in the Shetland Islands, so a sort of half a Leither and half a Shetlander. But when I was a little girl, I was always told I had to be very, very proud that I was born in Leith, and I think that stayed with me for the rest
Childhood?
of my life.
Oh, well, I was born in Leith. I went to Bonington Road School, primary, and I went to David Kilpatrick Secondary.
I had a wonderful childhood. I was the youngest of 7 children. I had 3 brothers and 3 sisters. Lots of things. We played a lot. We played in the street. We played in Leith Links here. We did a lot of swimming in Leith Victoria Baths during the school holidays and all these type of things. So it was a wonderful, wonderful childhood.
Oh yes, ever since I was 5 years old and I went to school. The school I went to is now called Leith Primary, but when I went it was Leith Academy Primary. And I remember the very first day going into school with about 90 other boys and girls and being taken into the gym hall and then taken away by this person who turned out to be my primary 1 teacher, and I loved her to bits. And I went home that very first day and my mum said that when I came home, that was the first thing I said, I'm going to be a teacher when I grow up. And that's what happened. I always wanted to be a teacher. Thank you.
School and education was a passport out of poverty. So I liked school. And in the winter, it was warm and it was safe. Because even if you'd had money after the war, your ration was 1 bag of coal. So the fire wasn't lit until tea time. When you came in from school, your mother would light the fire, but in the school there would be heat. Also for families that were very poor, the children would have free dinners. So that would mean they would have something to eat. My mother did not ask for help very often, but once or twice we did have free dinners. But I liked school. I saw that school was a way out of poverty, and I loved when the library box was brought out on a Friday.
When I was a young lad, I went to school in St. Mary's. It wasn't the same St. Mary's that's here, it's the St. Mary's that was in Henderson Street. But I went there, I went to St. Mary's at 5 years of age, and I had a great time in Leith. It was a wonderful, wonderful place to be born, and to be brought up and to play in and do all these things. And St. Mary's was a great school. And one of the things I like is that I'm often asked to come to this St. Mary's and meet up with the children.
I wasn't lucky enough to go to school in Leith. I went to school in Drumbrave, where we'd moved to because the housing that we lived in was unsanitary.
I went to primary school during World War II. My twin sister and me, we were in the same class. I would say it was quite an austere period of time in most school children's lives at that time.
My earliest memories, well, I remember attending St. Mary's Style C School, which used to be in Henderson Street. Prior to it being Henderson Street, the school used to be sited within the grounds of St. Mary's Church, and the building is still there before we were here.
My heart.
Well, St. Mary's, there was no new technology like we remember nowadays. For the first year, I would say at least, you didn't get pens or pencils. There was no such thing as a biro pen hadn't been invented yet. They had a slate. I remember every Wednesday morning, before school started, you're marched down from St. Mary's School down to St. Mary's Sea for a mass service. And you came back and you started your class school. There was not a lot of food in these days because during the war there was rationing. You couldn't get a lot of food stuff. But you got subsidised or assisted meals at school, usually with soup, minced potatoes, and a big chunk of cheese, and a big heel of bread, a big chunk of bread. It was very good, wholesome stuff.
School years were great, I think. Not like today. We didn't have computers and calculators and things like that in class, but we had to look up lots of information if we wanted to find out anything, so we would go to the library or look in the dictionary, just much like you do today.
It doesn't matter what age you are, as long as you've got the ambition, whether you're a footballer or a golfer or a swimmer or an athlete, if you want to get there, you can get there. But you've got to be professional yourself, you've got to watch what you eat and how you live and look after yourself, and you can get to the top. But it's never easy, but if you work hard, you can get there.
My heart.
And I remember the Blitz of April 7th, 1941, and a big bomb fell on the town hall in Largo Place, just up Ferry Road, and it blew all the windows out of my house, and I was sitting next to the fire reading my comic, and I literally blown out my chair and into the lobby, and all the roof and ceiling was coming down, china plates smashed all over the place. And we rushed all downstairs to go to the shelters, and it was pitch black because you were not allowed to have any lights on outside the house in case you warned the German pilots where you were. So you had to make your way down the stairs and across a yard, a big yard, into shelters which is under the ground, and wooden bunk beds. And we sat there all night, shivering in the cold, and the aircraft above chasing the German aircraft and bullets flying. And in the morning, it was about 9 o'clock in the morning before we got to the shelters again, a big siren used to go off to let you know it was all clear and safe to come home. And we came home, we had to clear all this mess. We had no windows for months and months and months. And they put yellow canvas up in front of the windows to keep the wind and the rain out. That's one of the many traumatic memories I remember. There's many more.
The other thing I remember is the siren sounding and getting out of bed and being dressed to go to the shelter.
Was broken. Sorrow.
I started off my football career was way back at Bonnet Mud School, and I was only probably then about 9 or 10, and I always wanted to be a football player, and my ambition was to play for Scotland at that time. And I thought when I was 16, Hibs Hibernian came, and because you couldn't sign professional forms then until you were 17, Hibs came and sneaked me for Hearts. So what I done then was, I said, look, you give me enough money to buy my mum and dad a house and I'll sign for Hibs. And that's what happened. So that was a good deal. What do you think?
I always wanted to write. I've always lived in my own little world, and living in your own little world and dreams helps you get through the bad times. It really wasn't until I got into secondary school, and really I only started to write my stories down and into fictional families 4 years ago. Living in Leith did influence my choice, because in the schools you did have some enlightened teachers, but most of them taught us not to have great expectations, so we wouldn't be looking for jobs outside Leith. Boys would be mainly employed in the docks, the bonds and the cooperage, and girls were expected to work also in the bonds, in Duncan's chocolate factories, Crawford's biscuits, and if you were above average intelligence, you would work in an office. I fortunately was able to work in an office, but I would never have dreamt of working anywhere except in Leith.
Leith started about 10 years ago through Leith Festival. I like the diversity of Leith FM, because we have a French programme, Spanish, a Polish programme and a Moroccan programme, and the other thing about it is we have lots of lovely Scottish accents on Leith FM as well. My career for the past 30 years has been in the pub trade. The pub was in Leith, so I was privileged to meet lots and lots and lots of local leaders and lots and lots and lots of crew from ships that were in the docks in
So I went
Leith.
to Leith Nautical College and I had a training ship in the docks where Ocean Terminal is now. One thing that I had to do was to be able to swim. Now, I was 16 and I couldn't even swim at that age. And no matter how good you were academically, if you couldn't swim, you were not allowed to qualify. So you should take you along to Victoria Baths in Junction Street, and we'd see all the swimmers who could swim stand at this side, and all the swimmers who can't swim at this side. And we see right non-swimmers who want to bend over the swimming pool and adopt a diving position and bend forward. And you done that. And the head tutor you and you kicked you in. You had to learn the hard way. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. Within 4 weeks I could swim very, very well indeed. And when I was in the Merchant Navy I saw many, many places.
That would be advert in the paper, cookers clean as new. And I used to spend 2 or 3 nights a week going out cleaning cookers when I was 14, 15 years of age. So I was always involved in something to do. When I was 23 years of age, I decided that I'd like it. So one day I was driving past a shop up in the town in a place called Batu Street, and I saw the shop lying empty, and I thought to myself, I'll go and make inquiries. And I've got inquiries, and I'm very fortunate that some people gave me some support, and I opened up a when you started up the
I
business?
think when I was about 14, I read some books about nurses, and for about maybe a week I wanted to be a nurse, but I soon changed my mind again. Teaching, that was it. So when I left school, went to college for 3 years and became a teacher, and stayed a teacher until I stopped working.
Thank you.
Well, I just always liked drawing and painting and making things, so when I was looking what I was going to do at university, I chose to do art, and so I've just always done it, and I've always enjoyed it. And Leith has influenced my career in that my first drawing project at art college was in Leith, in the docks, in the old docks, and I trained as a restorer in Leith, and first worked in Leith, and my wife, her studio was in Leith, and lots of artist studios have been in Leith, so I've had a long association with Leith, and it's played a big part in my career.
Sorrow.
I think Leith is a great place. It's full of interesting people, interesting characters, interesting buildings, and I think there's always something new to learn about Leith.
Whenever I'm asked, where do you come from? It could be all over the world, it could be in America, it can be in New Zealand or Australia or Russia or somewhere like that. And people say, where do you come from? I never say I come from Edinburgh. I always say I come from Leith. And they look at me and they say, you come from Leith? And I say, yep, I am a Leither. The reason I say that is because we're all proud. We're proud of the identity that